Okay, so here's another one. Here's another one. Some of you, my friends, are asking about setting up a cutting station. I know I have there's some still pictures on the website, but just to give you a little bit of a little bit more detail, and I'll talk a little bit about peeling a carrot and actually using a box grater as well. You might not be able to see over there, but there's the box grater there. Okay, so first off, one of the things to make sure of is I still have the damp towel. Okay, so this one's just been slightly wetted. One thing to consider is that, and I don't know if I was clear about this before, it is better if you fold the towel out just a little bit bigger than the base of whatever your cutting board is. So in this case, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the tray again. So this tray sits just kind of in the center of the towel, and you can see there's a little bit of space around. The reason for that really is that if your towel is narrower than the base of the actual cutting space, what happens is if it's a little bit further in, if you cut close to the edge, sometimes it tilts, right? It'll rotate around on your table. So best just to have it slightly larger than your actual cutting surface. So with that being said, the students, when we were in class, we were peeling a lot of vegetables. We were doing potatoes, we were doing carrots, and some of you at home have asked, well, how do we then do that at home? And I know I haven't given the tutorial on this, so this is some of the things that we did at school that you might be able to translate to at home. So often, again, using the serrated knife that has the teeth on it, just because it was a better grip. I would trim up the carrots ahead of time for the students. So what that would mean is I would cut off the two tips so that they were nice and square. I just have a disposal bowl here. You can use whatever you want. Ideally, if you are working on vegetable prep with your kids, try and use similar tools for your setup. And I know your family might have a different configuration. I know that not everybody has kitchen, let's say industrial kitchen or commercial kitchen quality stuff, which is why I'm kind of showing you in a lot of ways stuff that is kind of lying around the kitchen. Many people have some sort of a steak knife, but you can use whatever knife that works best and you feel comfortable working with your child. You don't have to have a fancy bowl to put your recycling or your green bin away, but it is good to have something right here at the table. One, because it's a good directive, as in we're going to take the scraps off of our cutting board and put it into the bowl. So it's a good procedural step. The second part, I think, is also to keep your area clean, and it isn't always the easiest to bring the garbage can right up to wherever you're cooking and have to work with the garbage can. So I've always found to have a little bit of like a throwaway bowl or a green bin, or if it's your composter bowl, put it right on the table. If more people are doing prep in the family together, maybe everyone can use the bowl, just as a reminder to get that into practice. Okay, so I've cut off this end of the carrot and I've cut off this end of the carrot. And often what I would do with the students is I would also split the carrots in half, mostly because I like to introduce the prep tools in a sequence. So when I was working with the students, we kind of go from kind of like the washing and then the peeling and then the chopping and then the portioning. So just an FYI, when the students were doing this work, they also would take the whole carrot, the step just before this, and I apologize I don't have this for the video, but the step just before this would be them taking it to the sink to wash and scrub with a vegetable scrubber to get all the loose dirt off. And we did that both with carrots, and we did with carrots, cauliflower, and potatoes. So all of the kids so far have experienced that scrubbing of the vegetable. So next, I'm going to put this one aside for right now. And if you've worked on corners with your kid, as in this is where we put the stuff that's about to be prepped, so be it. If not, we can just move that right off the cutting board and we put on the side. Side note, I also have the dry towel here for students that want to dry their hands between steps. Some students don't appreciate having their hands wet at all during this type of a lab, okay? So I'll put the carrot off to the side right now. And then one of the things that I do have the students, so this is a OXO, OXO brand peeler. Any peeler will work. This peeler, as opposed to the metal peelers, I found this particular brand, at least at home with my own kids, you can see it has quite a big handle on it, which already kind of, and it's slightly rubberized and there's a grip there. So there's some elements here that make this a nice peeler to use. I'm not saying to go out and buy a peeler like this, and you can actually, you can with your own peeler, you can tape the handle, so you can make the handle wider. You could take part of a pool noodle or something that is spongy and tape that around the handle to make it bigger, depending on what the grip sort of size and shape is of your child, okay? So this just happens to be my style of peeler. I will say, please be cautious that the peeling blade goes both ways and it's sharp both ways, okay? So here's how I would direct my kids to peel. I would ask them to point down, point down, point down. So always the point would be down on the cutting surface, and the great thing is that the cutting surface is kind of grippy, and then it would be, it would always be push. So remember we were talking about the push-pull in another video, as in the push for the cutting and then the pull. This is only push. So we would just say push, and then turn, 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 push, and then turn. Now, maybe you can see this. You can see that I didn't get all the skin off all the way around. It's kind of separated. That's fine, because then all we're doing is doing it again. And then we're just looking for the spots that didn't get peeled. So it's push, and then turn, 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 push, and then turn. Now, what I found in class is that I did mention to the students, for some I would say we're gonna push, and we're gonna push off the skin. Other students, they started to recognize the pattern, because when you peel down through, you can see there's blank spots, skin spots, blank spots, skin spots. So the more we did it, the students started to recognize the pattern there of trying to get the skin off, okay? So we're gonna put that down on the board. These I would ask the students to put into their bowl. So we're trying to keep the workspace fairly clean and fairly organized. Here was a critical turning point for some students. Now we have to do the other end, okay? So we've cleaned the one end here, now we have to do this end. This is where the paper towel comes in. Of course, the students can dry their hands in between, but the paper towel, what we would do is we would put it around the end, okay? So that the wetness of the carrot didn't get onto their hands, or it can be off-putting for some students. And then we would just do the exact same thing. We would do push and turn, 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 and then you would go around it again just to get all the other scum off. So push and turn, push and turn, push and turn, okay? And again, we put our tool down. I would ask them to put the tool down, the knife, the peeler down, put the carrot down on your board. I'd put the paper down here. We do a cleanup. So they can put the carrot pieces into the bowl. And now we have a carrot that we can go in a couple different directions. So it's nicely cleaned up. So we did one of two styles of cutting with the carrots, okay? So we either did half rounds, and I'll show you how we do that, and we also did grated carrots. Now, the half round process, you have to step in and help out, because the carrots in themselves sometimes are pretty dense, okay? So part of the reason that I chopped it down to half was so that my knife could easily, so this is what I'm doing, push or saw, cutting the carrot in half, put the utensil down. So now that the carrot's cut in half, just like the cucumber, I think I showed it in another video, the carrot will sit nice and flat on here, okay? Yeah, I think just yesterday, I know days don't matter on these videos, but I think in a previous video, I showed about cutting up the cucumber. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the hand position. Remember, we can either do the fist, okay? We can do the fist, or we can get the fingers. If you're going to put the fingers to hold it, try and get your child away from holding the carrot like this, and instead just holding the top of the carrot. Because when you put your fingers like this to hold the carrot, when we start to do slices, you can see how it's easy to bring the knife down on top of the fingers. Whereas if we're holding the carrot like this, with our fingers like that, then it's more difficult to get the fingers in there. And that's just a good rule for anybody, to be honest. Okay, so this was a push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. The exact same process that we did with the cucumber, okay? And then of course you could do, well, if that's the size that you want, fantastic. These could be portioned, they could be part of a snack, however you want to use them. So here's the last step that, again, some of the hacks that we did in the classroom. For some of the students, I had them doing grated carrot. Now, some of you have talked about grating carrot or grating other vegetables to be used in other preparations. So I'll show you how we did the box grater in class, and then you can hack this. You can decide whether or not you want to use this for potato, for carrot, for grating up onion. The setup would be similar, okay? So I'm just gonna move my cutting board off to the side for now because I still wanna use the wet surface. And here's my box grater. So the box grater is just a box because it has 4 sides. You might have a different style of grater. I've seen ones where the grater is actually a part of a container and you just change the top. So one would be a slicer, one would be the large, the small, and the very, very small, okay? But what I did in class, because again, I had these containers donated from another culinary class, and I had one of these very straight up graters that, again, many of us have in our pantry somewhere. So here's what we would do in class. Remember I was mentioning about wrapping with the paper, okay? So there's the paper on the carrot. And then what I would actually have is I would have another towel that I would lay over this side of the grater. So this would allow the student to hold the grater in place, and then we go straight down. And then this, watch what I do here. I turn it away just a little bit so then I can get the exact same push-pull with the students. So it'd be push-pull, 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 back and forth, push-pull, 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 as many times as you want. But I think you get the gist of that. And then, depending on what your setup is, the towel would come off. The student can then put this off to the side, just tap, 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 tap. And then you have some of the carrots that you grated underneath. I spoke with some of you, you were talking about doing fruit muffins. So you could do a similar setup. You could grate up apples, you could grate up pears. Other, I guess, stone fruits. I guess you could do peaches if they're a little bit firm. And of course, if you're doing other vegetables, turnip could be grated this way. Cauliflower doesn't work great because it starts to fall apart, but I guess you could experiment and try. Carrots obviously would work. Onions, if you know that you're gonna be adding onions into something. So there we go. A little bit of setting up your cutting board, transitioning to the box grater. And I hope this helps, for sure. Great talking with you again, and I'm sure I will have another video ready for you very soon. Take care.